Hey everybody, and welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and I'm with Jonathan
Hey, y'all.
and Daniel.
Hola.
Hola. All right. Today we're going to be going over some nerd news. We have a Spider-Man review, Far From Home, and we're going to be talking about video game addiction. It's now an actual disease, and we're talking about Disneyland Galaxy's Edge review. And we're going to be bouncing around because we got little bits and pieces from different people, so it's going to sound like a real news report. I'm pretty happy about that. Pretty
Classy.
exciting. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Before we go any farther, I just want to jump in and give you guys some timestamps. This is a long episode. The Spider-Man review is at 34 minutes in. We discuss gaming disorder at 53 minutes in. And then we talk about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at an hour and 17 minutes in. But of course, we do encourage you to listen to the entire episode. Thank you guys again for listening. Let's first start off with, what are y'all watching? Daniel, you go first. What have you been watching lately?
So I started rewatching Burn Notice.
Oh, I know you're a big fan.
About a spy gets burnt, trying to get back in.
Was there a notice when he got burnt?
Yeah, there was.
Okay, good.
There
Oh
was
my
a
God,
notice.
it's all in the
full,
title.
Full circle.
It was like, by the way, good luck. Try to live through this. So I'm watching that. Trying to watch a little anime. Try to get into the anime stuff again.
Yeah.
Watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
What? Okay, hold on. What even is that?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's multiple stories of like JoJo, and then like he'll have a kid. Then the next story will continue of JoJo again. That guy will be called JoJo also, and then
Wow.
he has to like fight vampires, and there's like a lot of
Those
things.
are bizarre adventures.
It's really bizarre.
Is he reincarnated in his children? Is that how it goes?
No, not
They
really. It's just
Passing on the torch.
yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Pretty awesome though. It's interesting. I can see why people liked it. And then yeah, I'm about to watch My Hero Academia.
I need to watch that so
a lot
bad.
of people love it.
Oh yeah. You haven't seen any of it before?
No, because
Okay.
I want to start watching Tokyo Ghoul Re also.
Yeah.
So that's amazing too.
I feel like I'm behind on anime because I haven't seen My Hero Academia, because everybody talks about that.
oh
how
yeah,
good it
that's
is.
like right now like number one. Like
Yeah.
For a while it's like Attack on Titan. Now it's My Hero.
I still haven't seen Attack. I know, guys, I'm losing my geek card, but I haven't seen Attack on
I
Titan
seen the
either.
second season. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I actually loved it. I'm just waiting for the third one to be dubbed. Once you watch dubbed for the first time, like you can't watch.
I feel like you kind of have to stick with one or the other, because it's
Yeah.
really weird. Like, I like subbed. Wait, no, which one do I like? I like dubbed. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then
dubbed.
when you see subbed, it's weird. Yeah, you're right.
Well, Naruto was different because I actually seen subbed, and then I watched dubbed on Funimation when I was younger, and
Yeah.
then I was able to kind of like transition, like go back and forth. So I'm rewatching all Naruto Shippuden dubbed now, even
How
though
many-
I just watched
That's
it.
How many episodes of that is there?
600 and like something
Wow.
episodes.
Yeah, that's not like
And that's
being
just-
binge watching
yeah.
40 episodes. No, 600 episodes.
That's crazy.
That's easy. Like that's like
That's easy.
no lifing.
Yeah.
That's like watching all of Star Trek's.
Yeah. Not just Voyager. All
No,
of them.
all of them.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
You could do it. It's not that hard.
Yeah, you just
the-
gotta
the
give up
only-
everything else in your life.
It does sound like a good
Not
challenge,
that
actually, to watch all the Star Treks.
Let's remember this when we get to the addiction topic.
Remember, there's a lot of commercials when you watch it on TV. So
Yeah,
like
it's
a
like
30-minute
background
show
noise.
is like actually 25 minutes. So
Yeah.
if you're quick on like hitting next, you're good.
That's crazy.
What have you been watching, John?
I've been watching a bunch of stuff. So on Hulu, I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, which I love. Now,
Always good.
my wife's never watched much of it, so we're going
wow.
through the whole series again now that we finished The Office.
The Pontiac Bandit episodes. I
Yes.
wish it was like a separate like collection of
That'd
just
be a good
those.
spin-off series.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
follow him. And then AP Bio,
yeah, of course.
loving that.
Hashtag
Watching-
save AP Bio, guys. Get
Right.
out there and do that.
on Netflix, I'm watching Deep Space Nine, which is really good. So much, so much like Voyager, the way the story's told. And finally, Black Mirror. I'm
Oh,
loving Black
finally!
Mirror.
Oh my
actually
God!
finally
Yeah,
got it done.
everybody's been saying for so long I need to watch it. I think there's 5 seasons out.
Joe and I just did a review for Black Mirror
Oh,
last
yeah.
episode
It is so freaking
because the new
good.
season just dropped.
Yeah.
What episode have you just finished?
I think I'm like halfway through season 3.
Okay. Ooh, man.
I
Did you hit San Junipero yet? That's like,
Oh yeah, that was the last one I watched.
oh, okay. That's like the signature episode. Like
Yeah.
everybody talks about that one.
That was a trip.
Yeah.
But-
And then the beginning of season 4, there's going to be a Star Trek kind of episode that's
Mhm.
like, it feels so, like the actual episode feels like a good Star Trek story.
yeah.
Like it's so good. Oh man, that show. That man, they get me every time. But yeah, new season, real hot and cold. Joe dislikes one of the episodes a lot, but I think it's okay. I won't spoil anything. It's good stuff.
All right.
But yeah, for me, Documentary Now. If you guys haven't heard of Documentary Now, it's such a funny show. And what it is you guys ever see like Drop Dead Gorgeous or Best in Show? They're like fake documentaries about that follow people and they're actually like not real.
Yeah.
Documentary Now is a collection of them. It's done by Fred Emerson and Bill Hader.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all funny because like it'll be random things like, and it looks like a totally real documentary. If you didn't have a sense of humor, you'd still think these are real. But you're watching it and it's like in Sweden, they have this like Al Capone festival every year. And it's all about like these 3 contestants that are trying to win Best Al Capone. And but of course it's like, and they have like Chicago Day over there and stuff like that. And it's all funny because you're like, it's Sweden. They wouldn't give a crap about Al Capone, but yet they have like kids that dress up like gangsters and stuff like that. It's just hella funny. There's this one where they're trying to bust into this drug cartel and like it's a Vice making fun of Vice basically. This, if you know who they are. And what's hilarious is they send these 2 reporters down there and they're like, all right guys, they're like these like real hard hitting like douchebag reporters basically like we're gonna get in there and we're gonna get in this cartel guy's face. It's gonna be fantastic. And like, oh man, he's at the door, guys. Okay, we're gonna blah, 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 they get shot and killed. And then Jack, they have like good actors in this too. Jack Black's like, all right, we're sending out 2 of our second best reporters out there. They're gonna find the truth. Same actors, Bill Hader and Fred again. But they're like, hey man, we're gonna totally figure this out. Hey, we found out where his mom stays. Where his mom? Blah, 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 they die. Jack Black's like, it's been sad, but we got our real best guys going down there. And it's just been it's such a good show. Anyway, so Documentary Now, check that out. It's like flew under the radar. And then last season of Walking Dead, I caught up on Walking Dead.
Oh, is it turned around?
Dude, it turned around.
Really?
That show's good again. I'm not gonna lie. Cause
wait,
they did
is
a
it
time
good
jump.
because you took a break, or was it because they changed it up?
They changed it up a lot because the last season, we're not spoiling anything because we already did a top 5 about this, but Rick leaves, right? Maggie as well. That part's a spoiler. And Jesus. But about 5 episodes in, they get rid of Rick, and then there's a time jump. And the time jump saves that show so much. I mean, like, Carol's got long hair now. So it's like 5 years in the future.
The son now?
No, the son died the season before.
Oh, okay.
No, it's about the daughter.
I haven't watched it in a while.
About the daughter.
Judith. Oh my gosh, she's my favorite little actress. She's so funny.
Like 13 now? Or something?
No, she's like 7 because she was like a toddler before, but now she's like 7. She wears Rick's hat and she has Rick's gun, but she's a 7-year-old, and she's always just like Negan's still alive, but he's in prison, and Negan breaks out, and then Negan's driving, and she like talks to Negan all the time. She's the only person who actually does. And what's funny is Negan breaks out, and then she like lets him go. She's like, all right, but don't kill nobody. Like this little 7-year-old's like giving like real advice. And then he comes on a motorcycle back, whatever, and so whatever. She ends up like pulling out the gun and shooting his tire. This little 7-year-old and takes down Negan and stuff like that. And then and then Negan's like, just put me back in jail. There's nothing out here anymore. It's so good. Negan, I thought I was gonna hate the fact that he's gonna be still around without Rick, because he does best with Rick. But no, his new character is really cool. And it's not like he's redeemed. He's not redeemed. But he's talked to Michonne, and he's like, because Michonne's leading Alexandria, there's this whole thing that happened in Alexandria where they like shut down and nobody allowed to go in or out. And so now he's like Michonne's advice counsel. So she goes to prison sometime, to the prison cell, to like, all right, what do you think about this? Kind of like, not really that way, but like, you know how Negan's like, yeah, Negan's like, my little window, I could see it all. I know that you're having, a problem with the council. So it's really, really good. It was worth a watch. Whisperers were good bad guys, these new bad guys that are around. So, yeah, I suggest you guys check out Walking Dead.
So he's like a retired villain now, right?
Yeah. And it's weird because he's still weird. Yeah. There was one part where Maggie, in the first half of the season, Maggie was going to kill him. She drags him out of the cell and he's like begging for death. And she's like, no, man, you're better off being in there. And then when you do the fast forward, he's now kind of like at peace with himself and he's more chill. Still a little bit of arrogance in there, which, you can't have Negan without that, of course. Yeah. But it's a lot better.
So maybe they should have cut to this
a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm almost thinking that every season should be a 5-year jump. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
See, I heard that there's a possibility that whenever Rick wants to come back, he might be able to.
He's not dead.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So he's undead.
Because doesn't like you get picked up by a helicopter or something?
Yeah. So yeah, he
the helicopter
gets blown up, and then he ends up getting picked up by a helicopter basically. So and then Maggie's just gone. They didn't explain what happened with Maggie. She's just gone. So both of them could come back. Jesus. He's dead.
So civilization is starting to kind of restabilize, though, right? What it sounds like. Helicopters are in the air.
Well, no, okay, that helicopter though is from that mysterious organization from the season before that nobody knows about except for the garbage people. They knew about it. So yeah, there's nobody that knows about this except for one woman who she's the one that saved Rick. Nobody else knows that this helicopters, which is kind of unrealistic because at that time, if you heard anything like a helicopter, it would catch everybody's attention.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to have like fake helicopter, like nobody sees helicopters because she keeps catching them. She keeps seeing like, oh, look, it's above us right now. Like she sees it at night, like the flashing lights. Everybody would see that. It's something that you can't just hide. Yeah. So it's whatever.
So it's most likely gonna happen that he's gonna come back probably towards the end or.
Yeah, Andrew Lincoln doesn't want to come back, so I think they left it open, but not necessarily. There is talks of there being a movie. He might be back for that. But yeah, so it's been really good. It's worth a watch. All right, let's get into some nerd news. Avengers Endgame is officially getting re-released with some new footage. They're adding a bunch because the directors fought to make this movie 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Now they're re-releasing it with that additional footage. Would you guys want to go back and see that with the new footage?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe an intermission in between, but yeah.
Totally. That's what it. Oh yeah, that's a long movie as it is.
I'm down because I still haven't seen Endgame. But...
What?
Is that not crazy?
Can we pause this and just kick him out to go see it now?
Dude, honestly, if you had a free schedule, I'd go watch that right now.
Really?
They're 40 million away from hitting the all-time highest movie record. It's about to beat Avatar, which I want that because James Cameron's been a real asshole about it. This movie, it's the best Avengers.
Yeah.
Right? It is.
I was kind of shaky on the previous ones because I feel like they started getting a little cookie cutter, formulaic, like Disney's just printing cash. No, they actually invested some quality skill and time and effort into making a good movie.
Like the other ones were just let's just put a bunch of heroes and just have them fight.
Well, they're smashing action figures together. They're doing the same thing here, but this one has time travel, so it makes it even better.
And it has the whole emotional appeal that the other movies didn't barely touch on.
How have you avoided all the spoilers for Avengers Endgame?
No, I know everything that happens.
Okay, well you should still watch it though. It's still heart wrenching, even though when I'd go back and watch it again, even knowing what was going to happen, it was like, man, this is a good moment.
Really?
Yeah, so it's worth watching. I don't know if you should watch it with the extra footage though. I don't know how bad. We'll have to see. That'd be pretty good.
I trust the directors. I mean,
the Russo brothers.
Who was saying make it shorter?
Disney, I know.
Exactly. Yeah, they want it shorter so that it's faster and sell more per day or whatever. But
so would it be a 4-hour movie?
3.5, I think, is what they're saying.
Because what it was released as is 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it could have been 4.5 or something
Honestly, if you went more to the time travel part, you could have extended the movie as long as you wanted it to be.
But I mean, their original cut was 4 something, and they had to cut it down to 3, right?
Yeah, it sounds like this new one will be 3.5, but I think they could have gone up, near 4.5. So
that's crazy,
freaking insane. Yeah. All right, Gears of War movie. They're talking about how it's going to be set involving this character Sarah and other certain characters, but it's going to be an alternate reality. So it's not going to be in the actual Gears of War universe. Different reality that's inspired by that universe with some of the same characters from that universe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But an alternate reality. Do you think this is going to fix the problem of no good video game movies? Because then you're not offending the fans.
Oh, you mean by doing the alternate reality thing? Yeah, I could see that.
It reminds me of the Star Trek. Remember that the new Star Trek movies came out? I enjoyed them. I think you enjoyed them. And one of the great premises of it was it's a whole new reality, guys. So we can make Kirk do this. We can make Spock hook up with Uhura. Yeah. And it doesn't matter because it's a different reality. So you guys can't complain. There were still people complaining. Star Trek fans were some of the worst. But nobody could really but that wouldn't happen. No, it's in this reality it can. You guys can't say nothing bad about it. That's just how it is. That's math now.
I think that's a cool way to do it.
Right.
It reminds me of the ending of BioShock Infinity.
That's
a
God,
cool way
I love that game so much.
I mean, they could just make a.
We gotta review that at some time. Yeah, it's so good.
They should start making BioShock movies.
They really should. That's actually a slam dunk.
Yeah.
That leads me to my next question.
Uh-oh.
Is there any video game that you guys would like to see made into a movie, and especially one that has the alternate reality effect on it? What do you think, Daniel? You got any ideas over there? I see your mind just going a mile a minute, and you're thinking Final Fantasy VII.
The Last of Us.
Oh God, yeah. PlayStation has started their own studio now to do that.
Oh, okay.
Last of Us isn't
awesome. like a full. Maybe it would be awesome.
That would be really good.
It's not really zombies. It's crickets and whatever they're called, mutated. Monsters or people. I
can see that. That'd be really good. I'd like. They're making an Uncharted movie first. They're using Tom Holland for that, which is Spider-Man.
Never played any of them, so.
I've always wanted to, but yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
played any of them. It's on my list of like I should probably play these.
I feel like they're like Lara Croft.
Yeah, I think they're a lot like that probably, and
Right.
those have been good. Those have been really good.
Yeah,
What
the
do
new
you-
ones.
Anything you could think of? Any video game you wanted to
To
adapt?
me, just the Halo ones. They have such a good story.
Yeah.
The campaign, especially like 1 and 2. But well, I can't remember which one it was where it was kind of a spin-off.
ODST.
Yeah,
That's like
where you-
everybody's favorite Halo.
Yeah, because in the end you die, but you
Yeah.
like fight.
No,
to your
that
death.
was that's Reach.
Oh, is that Halo
Oh,
Reach?
yeah, yeah,
That
You're
was
right.
Reach.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Right.
Because
That
that
is
was
a
awesome.
great
Because it
level.
was just like just fight.
Survive. Yeah.
It was just like
Uh,
let's do it.
It was amazing, and it was like okay, it did a really good job of instilling that emotion in you of just
Mhm.
like it's all for nothing, but I have to fight. I have to do it because it's all I have left.
Yeah, it's
They did a really
disappointing
good
but
job.
gratifying at the same time.
And I think you see the ship take off that has like
Yeah.
Cortana or whatever on it, and you're just like, that's good. That's
Yeah.
that's the rest of Halos. That's the rest of humanity. It's amazing how that video game instilled that emotion. It's something that I think only video games can do because you're there.
If you go back
It's
and
like,
play it again,
man.
you'll probably see that being built into you throughout the game too, because you're not
Yeah.
Master Chief, you're not the hero of the game, you're just one of the soldiers, and you know that,
Yeah.
and you're expendable, and then you're on a mission, and the mission's more important than yourself.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I wonder if you get that collector's edition on whatever Steam it was or Microsoft. I
Yeah.
wonder if Reach comes in it with it because that would be pretty awesome.
I'm currently playing that. I'm going through all the games right now. I'm streaming them for everybody. I'm going through number 1 right now. I know ODST is. I think Reach might be there. If not, it will be soon. And it's been fun playing those again. I got super stuck at number 1, but then I found out I was like, okay, this door wasn't here before. I promise you guys. And I
Yeah.
found this door. But yeah, man, those games are just the music. When the music kicks in, it's like dun, 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 dun. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Number 2, when they got the guitar in it.
Oh yeah, it's so freaking good. And then what's really cool about number 1 is that you could press one button, you switch back to like what it used to look, and then to the remastered.
Mm.
And so I'm constantly doing that. All the people watching our streams gotta hate me because I keep going back and forth like that's crazy.
My buddy Jared, we used to live like right next to each other at
Yeah.
the dairy for so many years, and we used to play like every Halo that came out together, like
Yeah.
split
There's
screen,
me and Jonathan on that one.
split screen and everything, like just legendary too, like
Yeah.
hard
Oh,
mode.
that's tough.
Oh my god! Every time we just like hours on hours on missions, and we're just trying to get it done. So he's like, you know what? Let's do one of those game nights that you just come over and we're just gonna play the new Halo and try to beat it, and we'll
Yeah.
just order pizza, stay up hella late. You know what? That sounds awesome. I'm
Mhm.
kind of down for that.
Yeah.
We all got to do that sometime. We could stream it too.
Oh man, yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about doing a 24-hour for WoW Classic, but yeah, the new Halo, I'm down for that. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
One thing I'm really excited about the new Halo is it's back on a Halo again.
Mhm.
Have you seen the new trailer that came out during E3 for Halo?
No,
Okay,
I don't
we
think
reviewed them,
I
but
haven't seen anything from E3.
oh well, luckily there's 3 great episodes of Geek Freaks podcast that reviews it
Nice.
all. And anyway, so the new trailer, they're actually going back to a Halo, and I'm excited for when you're on the Halo and you look up in the skybox and you see that the ring continues.
Hmm.
It was such a small little feature, but man, I remember I can't tell you how many times I've looked up just like that's just the coolest idea ever.
Yeah.
That's just so freaking awesome.
Hmm.
So, yeah, where were we at? Oh yeah, movie ideas from games. Yeah, the Halo one would be really good, and they're working on the Showtime show for that, so we'll have some sort of version of that. That'd be really cool. Speaking of movies and stuff like that, we have Keanu Reeves, the Kevin Feige, the guy who runs Marvel Studios, is talking about how he's trying to get Keanu Reeves into the MCU.
Mhm.
He wants him in the Marvel Studios. Any ideas on where we can see him? I know you were talking, Daniel, about Wolverine.
Yeah, I would really like to see him Wolverine. Yeah,
What?
I don't know. I think he can nail it.
I didn't see that.
He'd have to bulk up a little bit.
Yeah, it's not
Mm.
that bad.
I think I want him to as more of a. Somebody had suggested on Twitter Doctor Doom. I would love Doctor Doom, or I would like to see Gambit. I think he would be a good Gambit.
Maybe
Gambit, actually, yeah, Gambit would be pretty good.
Yeah,
You got that. Yeah.
I think he'd
because
be.
he's like slender. You know, you got to have one of those superheroes that are not about their buff muscles.
I was thinking he'd be a Doctor Strange, magic villain. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know any of them.
Yeah, if it was DC, I'd say Doctor Fate, which is like their version of Doctor Strange. He would be really good. He would be really good as that. But oh, never mind. My brain just like shut off. I'm like, he'd be amazing Constantine. Wait, he was Constantine.
Yeah.
Actually.
See, I don't want him to be a villain. I want him to be, if he's gonna be in the MCU, I want him to be in multiple movies.
Yeah, they probably want
Yeah.
that too because that's a big investment
that's-
for
yeah,
one time.
huge.
That's why I wanted to be Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom is like strong enough to fight the Avengers. Like he could be an Avengers level villain. He could be the next Loki, where he's always around, because Doctor Doom actually like is a king of a country, you know, and he's amazing. He's magic and science. I'm really excited for him being in the MCU. I think Keanu Reeves would nail that.
Where is he from, Doctor Doom?
God, it's like Latvia or something like that.
But I mean, he's not the one from the Fantastic Four.
yeah,
right?
he is. He's their villain.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Because that's who I was thinking. They're rebooting the Fantastic Four. He would be good for whoever that guy was, which
Yeah.
apparently is Doctor Doom.
I
All right.
wasn't really a big fan of.
The old
Fantastic.
Fantastic Four. Yeah. Thank goodness they're rebooting it then.
Well, they're rebooting it. Okay, let's talk about that then. Who would you want to see in some of the, like The Rock has talked about, said he was born to play the Thing.
Yeah, that'd be
He's
cool.
wanting to play the Thing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's how you sell tickets.
Yeah.
I want to see, I keep seeing that everybody's got fan made art of this. Jim from The Office to play Mr. Fantastic.
Really?
Yeah. It looks good when you see like the
Wow.
white on the side of the head, you know?
Yeah, man. I guess he's supposed to be a mundane looking average guy.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Once we get Mr. Fantastic in there, we can get the Illuminati, where they have like all the smartest superheroes come together and like actually decide what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it really, you get Namor as well in there. You could really open up a lot. We're missing Iron Man's one. Well, I won't say much more. He's one of them too.
Yeah, I don't know. Who would play the Human Torch then?
Yeah, let's bring back Chris Evans. Captain America played him before. We'll have him play it again.
Pull him out of time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
God, that'd be neat, wouldn't it? That'd be crazy. Yeah. So, all right,
They
something
go
to think about.
They go to an alternate reality where he was the other version. Of
The super soldiers serum didn't react well for his body, and all of a sudden it made him where he's constantly on fire or something
Yeah.
like that.
That'd be
I
cool.
mean, and ageless. Any ideas for Fantastic Four people?
Honestly, no.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
tough
not
one.
really like. I'm
Not
not
a
really
fan of
excited
them.
for it.
Yeah.
It's-
I'm excited for him because I haven't seen him done well. I'm looking forward to them being done really well. So this is our chance, guys. Okay. Disneyland is beginning production on a Marvel theme park section of Disneyland.
That's cool.
Have you been there since they've had the Guardians of the Galaxy ride
No.
in California Adventures?
Negative.
So for those of you guys who are not in the area or know Disneyland stuff, we're all Disney fiends over here. Disneyland is split up into two parks. There's Disneyland and there's California Adventures. And basically, you always get the park hoppers, so you can go to both. California Adventures has a Guardians of the Galaxy ride. It used to be the Tower of Terror. And there's a Bugs Life park next to them for like the little kids. They're ripping that out and they're making that all Marvel now.
Nice.
Yeah, honestly nice, because the Bugs Life was, man, it's okay.
Yeah, it's outdated.
And so that's going into the Marvel. That's becoming a Marvel ride. Is there any ride you guys want to see like themed around Marvel? I would like to see a Doctor Strange House of Mirrors.
That'd be
I'd like to see what Disney can do with like just a simple idea of like
Yeah.
House of Mirrors.
Just a place full of illusions.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So you're walking around. They have like in the Haunted Mansion where you're like when you're looking through, you can see like the ghosts that are riding the ride with you. I want to see like that level of trickery, but it's all in.
You know they
And
could,
he has that mirror universe. You know.
they could so easily make what is a wall, and then he creates a portal in front of you, and you go through the portal.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Because everything I want to see that effect they have in the movie where they talk about the mirror world and it's like all shattered mirror
Yeah.
that he walks. I want to see like you being able to step into that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Is there anything else you
what
guys can
else?
think
What
of that
else?
you'd want to see in the Marvel rides? An Iron Man roller coaster or something like that?
Yeah, well, but I don't know. How would you build a roller coaster around Iron Man? Just
Maybe
his tech.
Thor's hammer and where you're sitting on the edge and it just spins you and you goes up and down and stuff like that.
As much as I
Yo.
don't like Thor Ragnarok, they could probably make one around that.
Thor
That'd be
Ragnarok is
pretty
so
cool
good.
with
I
the,
can't believe you don't like it.
I don't know if you guys went to Universal Studios and ride the Harry Potter ride.
I haven't ridden it, but I know where it's at.
Well, you know how it's like. Well, it's a mechanical like it's a bunch of chairs. It's
Yeah.
like arm and it lifts you, and you're pretty much going through like a bunch of scenes and like, and you're pretty much like flying
Yeah.
in a way. So it'd be cool if they got that technology, that engineering, and do like Avengers like in space and they're fighting.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Something like that, and I don't know, they'd have to make it different, but like it'd be cool to like go through like a whole like track and it's just like
Redo Soaring California.
yeah, to like something like Avengers
Where
or
you got
something.
That'd
It's
be
like
cool.
you have a
'Cause that,
jetpack.
I mean, just makes sense for Iron Man.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you're soaring and you're like, you
Yeah.
could be like Iron Man on that. Thor, you could do a Thor version of that. That'd be really cool.
And like an
Yeah.
interactive ride too,
Yeah.
where you actually, you got like a laser gun or something like that.
Yeah,
so
they had the
you're
Toy
part of
Story
it.
one that's like that, where you're sitting there with the blasters.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Toy Story movie was so good. But yeah, so like I said, House of Mirrors. I think the Thor's hammer is a gimme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few ones. I'm excited for it. That's going to bring a lot of attention to. I think a lot of people don't know about California Adventures.
Yeah.
That's in the same parking lot. I mean, it's like right there, and it is a blast. It's a lot of fun over there. I have more fun at Disneyland, I'll admit, but it's still a blast to go to California Adventures. It's much more modern park. The Cars Land is just not hilarious, but it's so fun to be in Cars Land. The Cars ride's great. I think it should be longer.
Excited. I'm taking my mom. I
Yeah.
think I told you guys. She hasn't been there for a while, and every time I go, it's usually take like an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
that I was dating at the time.
Yeah.
So she's gonna take my mom. We're gonna go there for.
This
like
might be a
day.
bad sign for you and your mom's relationship. Though. She might not want to talk to you after this. I'm just saying, you're gonna lose your inheritance.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take her. She wants to see all that stuff. So I was like,
She hasn't been there since the California Adventures.
She hasn't been there for a while. Like
Okay.
probably like 4 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Not too
the-
bad. Not too bad. But still,
But
yeah,
she
it's
doesn't
nice
really
show
get
her.
to like Six Flags is like right here, like 45 minutes, but she can't do any of those rides.
They're
It's-
too much for me. Yeah.
Yeah, they're too high. Everything's kind of crazy. But Disneyland and California Adventures, they're not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. They're fast, but not like crazy.
Yeah,
The worst one is the Dash ride, the Incredibles ride. But other than
that
that,
was amazing. That was a fun ride.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Enough said on that one. All right, coming to TV, I got a challenge for you guys. Okay, coming to TV, we have some CW announcements. All the shows coming up. We have Flash coming October 8th, Arrow October 15th. That's gonna be the final season for Arrow. Supergirl October 6th, Batwoman October 6th, and then Black Lightning is coming October 21st. Now, you
Nice.
guys don't watch those at all.
Can I bring one?
Yeah, Supernatural.
Supernatural, October.
What do you know? What day?
Nah.
I was like I probably should put
Wait,
Supernatural on
It's
here.
coming back. I didn't get
The final season for that
final
too.
Season.
Oh,
Season,
okay.
series finale.
Oh, 'cause I
So
remember-
CW's got a lot of things coming this, all right? And there's Legends of Tomorrow that they don't have a date for yet. Legends of Tomorrow is one of my favorites, but it's not on there. I know you guys don't watch any of this, but I will watch a show you pick if you watch one of these shows that I pick. All right? Does that sound like a fair trade-off?
I can't find anything bad enough for you to watch.
These aren't
to
bad.
compare to those.
Okay.
One show I want to watch is Legacies. It's interesting.
Legacies. I'm not familiar with that.
Legacy. I think it's called Legacies. I think it's supposed to be connected to like Supernatural in a way, but they fight
Oh, you talking about
monsters. I need to get. I'll look it up. And
Okay.
try to figure it out. But
You find it if you have me watch that, I'll have you watch Arrow. Season 1.
I've seen season 1.
Okay, season 2 then. Honestly, season 5 is the best season. Season 5.
I
It's
thought
too
season 2 was-
intertwined. I'm good.
No, just Arrow season 1.
I tried season 1. I watched like the first 4 episodes, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is really like made for teenage
When
girls."
he
This
like
is terrible.
forgot,
It's
like,
teenage drama.
Yeah.
because he was on an island.
No, his
Yeah.
memory's fine. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was kinda
Another
bad.
show I started watching though, I forgot I haven't mentioned, is called Siren by Freeform, and it's terrible. But
Okay, yeah.
It's interesting, but it's terrible.
You know why? Because of that freeform part. That's ABC Family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's funny but bad. It was funny when it's not supposed to be funny.
I was hoping to get you guys hooked on this new season of Flash and Arrow and stuff, but no takers. All right. Next up, talking about Last of Us. Last of Us 2 gets released of February for next year. That's pretty huge. It's basically the
Yeah.
beginning of the year that the new systems come out.
Yeah, I'm shutting off my computer for that game.
That's big, guys. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty big.
Like I still have Kingdom Hearts wrapped. I haven't even touched that yet.
You need to just play that game.
No. I'm
Then return it. Do
no.
something.
I'm gonna collect it, and then one of these days, maybe when I'm done with The Last of Us 2, I'll actually try to play it.
When I was watching the new Toy Story, I was thinking like this would have been a better version of the Toy Story level, like because they're in an antique room or antique shop during the new Toy Story. I'm like that could have been a really good level in Kingdom Hearts. Instead, that game sucked. Anyways, well, you should play it. I think it'd be good. But yeah, Last of Us 2 coming in February. That's a biggie for PlayStation. That's pretty cool. Okay, Cities Skylines, which is like it's like a better version of Sim City, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming to board games. They're gonna make a board game out of it, and there's kind of a little bit of hype around this. Is there any other video games you guys can think of that you'd want to see in board game form? I never really thought about that being like a market, but it's there now.
That's interesting. That takes a lot of thought. I can't. So this game, you're building like 3D,
Yeah, they actually show like you're building a city, but it's a board game where you're like competing with other people.
like
But you're building.
Monopoly. But as you go around with your hotels, you build them higher and higher.
Yeah, because it looks more like Settlers of Catan actually, but yeah,
Oh, I
something
see, I
like
see.
that. Yeah.
Huh.
I was thinking Civilization. I think is tailor made for this, where you could pick like, oh, I want to be Genghis Khan, and I want to be Theodore Roosevelt, and I want to be whoever, Justin Trudeau, or something like that. And then you're building, and then you're like trying to build your civilization, and whoever gets to the first, you guys could pick what kind of victory you guys want to do, or not. You could just go with one of the 4 victories. And so you're trying to collect enough cards to like become the wealthiest nation, to where you're like everybody's got one of my trading posts in their country, or the war one. You could actually go by war dominance is what it's called in the game, and you like take over the other nations, or you can go by first one to have enough technology to go to space. So there's different things that you can do.
So I think we need somebody with some money. Big companies need to break this concept of board games into the next generation and have a big 2 foot by 2 foot tablet that is your board, and then you upload whatever games they offer for however much they want to charge, because they're going to own it all.
Yeah.
And then you could play endless games, and it'll be, like 3D. And if they can make hologram freaking things, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Like
start
for
with just
Yu-Gi-Oh,
touchscreen.
that would be amazing. I would buy it right away.
Yeah.
Put down a card, boom, Dark Magician comes out,
Yeah.
starts doing a little
Yeah.
Dark
'Cause they
Magician
got-
power or whatever.
They
I
got
bet
the
they could do that with
ability.
augmented reality, where like it's either
Yeah.
through your phone or through glasses,
Mhm.
and you're looking and you can see like Black Magician come up, and then that guy's got a blue eyes white dragon, shows my date on Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then they like you could actually watch them fight. That'd be pretty amazing.
So
If they
cool.
use that
Cool.
VR or that VR stuff,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. I'd
Yeah.
definitely get it.
And then you could still have the old classics like Monopoly,
Yeah.
just displayed differently. See, it's looks better.
The thing is tabletop games they're becoming so popular now. It's
Yeah.
a
Are they
resurgence
really?
of it. Oh yeah, they're huge.
Why?
It's because it's a community building. It's all about community building, and so they're still really big for that. I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I think it's around. You guys can't think of any video games you guys would put in there?
I don't know. It's like changing.
StarCraft would be good.
Yeah.
Make like a StarCraft board game.
I don't know. I can't think of any.
Yeah. It'd have to be a strategy based game. You couldn't just have like Halo the video game or Halo the
Yeah.
board game where it's like, okay, well I'm shooting my gun, you're dead now. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. But a strategy based game I think would be good. I'm wanting to, there's not a Minecraft, there's Minecraft Legos, but there's not a way to do Minecraft or anything like that. But yeah, something to think about. Okay. Next up, we're getting a Hunger Games prequel book. Okay, they're releasing a new book, May 19th, 2020. I am very down for this. It's supposed to be taking place in Pan Am again, and I'm not sure if it's either the first Hunger Games or it's during the Revolution. It'll probably be the first Hunger Games. This looks good to me. I love Hunger Games. I'm not gonna lie. The
Yeah.
books were fantastic. So easy reads.
Yeah, I didn't read the other ones, but of course I watched the movies. But I'm down to read that one. That'd be cool.
Yeah, they're real fast. They're like 250 pages,
Hmm.
real short. Maybe a little longer, but they're pretty good. Did you end up reading any of those?
I read one of them, but I've seen the movies. They were cool. I'm probably not gonna get into it, honestly. I have
Yeah.
other books, my anime books that I need to read.
I know I've got wild books I got to get through too.
Yeah, I still have a couple of those, so I'm just like,
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about the movies is they split the last book into 2 movies, which was so dumb. They didn't need that. It was definitely not worth it. It's like with the Hobbit. I love Hobbit, but a small 200-page book they split into 3 movies. Definitely didn't need that much. There was no
Yeah.
reason.
Try
for
to
it.
make more money though.
I know, but the story doesn't end up as good then. I don't know. Personally, I just didn't care for it as much. And then Oblivion Song, which is a Robert Kirkman comic book. It's about like this bubble came in and took half of New York or something like that and transported it somewhere else where there's like weird monsters all everywhere and people are trying to survive. That's a comic book called Oblivion Song. They're making it into a movie now. The reason this is cool news is because Robert Kirkman's the one that invented Walking Dead. So this is
That's
going to be
cool.
from the same mind.
Yeah,
and
with the
stuff
big
like that.
beard.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, he's pretty amazing. I'm pretty excited about that.
Hey, did you?
more Robert Kirkman.
I don't know if you guys actually mentioned this, but did you see that Tom Hardy is confirmed for Venom 2?
Oh, really?
He wants Venom 2.
No, is returning for Venom 2.
Tom Hardy. I'm thinking of Tom
Hardy.
Holland.
No.
Yeah. Tom Holland wants a Spider-Man Venom movie, but yeah, Tom Hardy, coming back for Venom 2. That's
Oh,
awesome.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really good. I still gotta watch that, but
That was such a good movie.
yeah, I'll have to check it out. That's cool. All right, so next up is the Spider-Man review, and then we'll be back for video reaction. All right, let's do our spoiler-free Spider-Man review. This one will be fully spoiler-free, and next week we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it with the full spoilers. But because this is coming out like right on the release date, I want to make sure that we're giving you guys plenty of time to go out and take a look at this. It was a good film, so it's totally worth a watch. Of course, it's MCU, so we know it's going to be at least beautiful. But it was a good movie. Let's go ahead and break down. Our director is John Watts. He's the one that did Spider-Man: Homecoming, so you guys are familiar with him. Casting somebody is all the people we already know. So we got Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. He's new to the MCU. Jon Favreau, he's back as Happy Hogan. We have Marissa Tomei as May Parker, Aunt May. Everybody knows there's May. Zendaya is back as MJ. And then we have Jacob Batalon as Ned Leeds. A couple of side characters I want to talk about later on, I'll mention now, is J.B. Smoove and Martin Starr are in as teachers. And then we have Remy High. He plays this character named Brad Davis. And we'll talk about him in a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down acting, then production, and then story. Kind of give each of them a little bit of a rating. We'll go 30, 34, and 33. So 33, 34, 33. That's what they're going to be out of. So we'll get a grand total of something out of 100. All right. So let's go ahead and go down the list again. So Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Again, I think he's the best Spider-Man that we've had. I just way better than Andrew Garfield. I think pretty much anybody would be. And I just really like him. Tobey Maguire was, I think it's Tobey Maguire. Boy, I hope I get that name right. But he was the Spider-Man that like, oh man, this guy's amazing. But I think that Tom Holland just really nails that personality, that happy-go-lucky personality. We didn't quite get a lot of the happy-go-lucky in this one, but that makes sense in the grand scheme of the MCU. I think this movie might have hurt by it a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily blame that on Tom Holland. I think that's more of a story aspect of it. But in the grand scheme of things, yeah, they just lost a lot. And spoiler alert for Endgame. So Avengers Endgame, we're going to be talking about the post-Avengers Endgame. This is the first movie after Endgame, and it is very heavily needed, it references to Endgame a lot. So just a heads up on that. But yeah, so we're post-Iron Man, we're post-Captain America, and post-Scarlet Witch, Black Widow. I mean, everybody's kind of, down and out on this. And this is all about this European trip that they're going to be going on, and how Spider-Man is trying to still live his life. Peter Parker's still trying to live his life as a child or as a teenager and still be your, Spider-Man. So it's really hard. Talk about some of the trailer footage because that is something that I expect everybody has seen. But like Nick Fury had said, like, bitch, you've been to space. Like, you can't act like your neighborhood Spider-Man anymore. You're past that. So that's what we're looking at here. We're in that mood where everybody's just kind of like, okay, everybody's got to step up. We're in a new world now, a post-Iron Man world. So we have Tom Holland, and again, he nails it, but this isn't quite the Spider-Man I like just because he's a little bit sadder in this movie. But he, as an actor, is killing it. Samuel Jackson's doing his Nick Fury thing. This is a frustrated Nick Fury. It just is one that we've always seen. They do, again, we're not doing any spoilers, but they do kind of talk about how like he has lost so much because of this snap. And so much of his intel. So things are a little bit different now. It's funny that they really do. I can't wait for our spoiler full one. It's gonna be fun. Jake Gyllenhaal, one of my personal favorite actors. I think he needs way more roles, but he's smarter than that. He'll take only the good ones. He nails it in this movie. He carries the movie's acting so hard because everybody's acting is good. It's MCU good. So it's like, oh yeah, they're good acting. They're doing well because they're casted well. Jake Gyllenhaal, I mean, when he's doing his Mysterio things, it's just like crazy good. It's phenomenal. So just, he's so good at this movie. And I really wanted him to be Batman. And I still think there's a possibility. Let's get the old Twilight boy out of there. We don't Team Jacob for life, so we can get him out of there. Okay, so then we have, Jon Favreau. They really gave Happy a bigger role in this movie. And Jon Favreau, in general, is just killing it lately, right, guys? So he's in this. He directed the first Iron Man. He's in this, and he really stepped up in this movie. They gave him a lot more footage. But then he's also the director for the new Lion King movie. We'll be reviewing that in a couple weeks. Pretty amazing. Great job, Jon Favreau. But yeah, Happy's in this a lot more, and Happy is playing a lot of the audience character in some scenes. There's one emotional scene that, like, you are Jon Favreau in that scene, so it is really nice. Marissa Tomei is Aunt May. It's funny because they casted her so young, it's hard to, like, keep saying Aunt May because it doesn't feel like Aunt May because Aunt May's an older character, but she does really good. And I, she's Marissa Tomei. You can't go wrong. Zendaya really opens things up. It was probably more the writing in this case, but she does a fantastic job of portraying it. They give MJ so much more character in this movie. She is so much more diverse, and the way that Zendaya, I hope I'm saying the name right, the way she portrays it is you really see like there's so many layers to her, and it's up to Peter Parker. Peter Parker sees that. You could tell that Peter is seeing something in her that she puts on a mask and he sees right through it. You could tell that by their interactions. These two's chemistry, I really like it. You could tell they're really cool with each other. Like you could tell outside of this, they're good friends because they have that kind of personality. It feels like that, anyways. And then of course Jacob is his man in the chair. He plays Ned Leeds, which is a future villain. We'll talk about possibilities when we do a review. Spoiler one: in this movie, they don't lead to that at all. But in the comic books, Ned Leeds does become a bigger character later on. We have JB Smoove, side characters I want to talk about now. Okay, let's get these guys out of the way first. JB Smoove and Martin Starr. JB Smoove has been in a ton of things. I'm not necessarily a big fan of his, and it's because he played this one character on the show called The League for one episode, and he killed me in that. I was like, I just don't care for that. So I've always had a hard time getting used to him. And Martin Starr I really like because, spoiler alert, I like Freaks and Geeks, the old TV show. I don't know if you guys noticed that that's kind of what the name of this podcast is. It's Geek Freaks. Definitely took some some inspiration from that show. He's from that show originally. He's on Silicon Valley, I think now. He's amazing. So yeah, they play these two teachers in this, and of course, these are a bunch of high school students that they're chaperoning into Europe. And so to watch these two bounce off of each other, you have the one teacher that's kind of like, I'm gonna be sleeping the whole flight, and then like this is crazy, we should be partying kind of thing and having fun. And then you have the other one that's like really stressed out right now, guys, and just trying his best. The way these two play off each other is fantastic. I would like for them to be in future MCU movies, and even as Peter like graduates or goes to college or whatever, we could still have these two like teaching some of the X-Men, like because the X-Men would have like a normal, if they went to high school as well and to Xavier's school for the gifted, they could be doing both. Maybe like Miss Marvel or something like that goes to school. So we could kind of have that, like these characters always be somewhere in the MCU. They would be really fun characters. Maybe they move on to some grander things. Maybe they move on to both being professors. I would like to see them hang around more often. They're really fun off each other. The other character I wanted to talk about as a side character is Remy High. He plays Brad Davis. Now, this actor is amazing. He's in one of my favorite Netflix shows that got canceled after only 2 seasons. He plays Prince Jingham in that show. It's a Marco Polo. Please check that out, guys. It's only 2 seasons. The first season's fantastic. The second season, you can tell they were really trying to grab people with like bigger effects and bigger. But really, the first season I think is just so perfect. If I won the lotto, one of my things, there's a couple shows I keep telling people like, yeah, you guys buy houses and stuff like that. I am funding some production projects, and one of the shows I'd be funding is Marco Polo, trying to get it back. So the thing I want to talk about him though is the casting of him. He's too old to be playing this role, I think. He does have a very young appearance, but he doesn't play high schooler. Even in Marco Polo, I think he was like early 20s. So that was 4 or 5 years ago. Fast forward now, so I didn't check his age, but I know he's too old for this role. I think that was a bit of a miscast. While I do like Remy Hind, I really wish he was in more films. He is a really, really great actor. And you could tell he has potential for the future of the MCU. You could tell they kind of set him up to be a problem later on, or a character later on. I don't even want to say a problem, but yeah, he's pretty great. But that's pretty much it for casting, guys. It's a solid cast. It's MCU. I mean, you're not going to go wrong with this. The only complaint was I think they should have got a younger actor for Brad Davis. Otherwise, really good. JB Smoove and Martin Starr really did really great, and Jon Favreau's just killing it. So I'm going to give this a 30 out of 33. But yeah, overall good. Okay, let's get into production. This one we're going to rate out of 34 because I think that special effects in an MCU movie is kind of where it's all at. Like, let's get real. We're going there for the eye candy. We're not going there for the complex stories or whatever. It's really all about the eye candy. So let's walk into that. Again, no spoilers, but we do start off with a memorial for everything that has happened in Endgame, like the characters that have died. But what's funny is it's made by the high school students. So it's very like iPhoto or what is it, old iMovies or something like that. When you used to be able to make them with the presets, there's way too many transitions, like star wipe. It's like that. It's really funny. And it's because these high school students made the memorial, and it was a good way to start the show. They do address a lot of the loopholes, by the way, from Endgame. So different things. I won't say which ones just because, again, I'm trying to keep this tight, but a lot of the loopholes, every one of them you could think of, really that I could think of, were addressed. I was really happy with that. So that's a story thing, but I just wanted to kind of get that in there while we're talking about this memorial. The Mysterio effects, like the special effects of Mysterio, we already know Spider-Man's are going to be great, but Mysterio really played well because they made them look like you could tell it's like a combination of magic and technology. Like his abilities look like magic, but you could tell the suit, like the way they designed it, looks like it's less magic, less magician, and more sciency, which is something that fits in this Spider-Man's universe. This Spider-Man's universe doesn't have much magic. Yes, there's Doctor Strange, and he's apparently busy during this whole thing, but it's less about that. They do have a lot of heavy smoke in his effects, which plays into the magician aspect. So it's a good blend of the two. Spider-Man has a couple new costumes. We see stealth suit, and we see a new suit that comes up. It's the black and red. I really like the black and red suit. You can tell it's going to be kind of the future suit that he'd be wearing. It's a little bit more of an homage to his first suit, like ever. Spider-Man's original suit was black and red, and then when they draw that suit, they use blue highlights to kind of like show contours. And then over time, the blue highlights became the blue. And but that's just how comics were done back then. Is you use blue highlights to show like the original, like early Black Panthers and stuff like that. You'll see blue highlights in there, although that suit is black, but they had blue highlights just to show contours of Black Panther. Same thing with Spider-Man, but eventually the blue took over, and he's now blue and red. This suit is black and red, and I thought it was really good. It had a more modest effect when you went from the Endgame one that was all chrome and all metal, and not chrome, but all metal. He does wear that in the beginning, but this is a much more of our Spider-Man, so that was kind of nice. Locations were beautiful and really, just again, the eye candy is what I think. But all of us iconic is all through Europe, but that doesn't play well in a Spider-Man movie. I feel because Spider-Man is so New York. Like even I in California understand that I shouldn't see Spider-Man running around in California. He is New York. Like he's your neighborhood Spider-Man. So to see him away from that, and that's a story thing as well. It kind of felt weird. It felt out of place the whole time. He did well. I mean, he did well with what his surroundings were in Venice and stuff like that. He had some buildings but just the classic swinging. And at the end of the movie, we see him back in New York, and we see that classic swinging again, and it takes you right away back to the old Spider-Man movies. To what makes you fall in love with him is just like, man, he looks like he's having a lot of fun. It was really, really, really cool. So these new locations are just. It was like they threw it at the end, kind of like, don't worry, we're coming back. Like the fact that he's back in New York at the very end, it's like, don't worry, we're coming back. We understand that wasn't the right locations. Not even that the right locations, but, it was really well done. So I'm happy to see him come home at the end. The monster effects were solid. They were, I would say, on par for MCU, nothing spectacular. You guys have seen these monsters, these elemental monsters in the trailers. They were on par. They looked good, nothing innovative. But they looked good. They're all right. Audio production was top notch though. The reason I really there were a couple moments where like he landed on this carousel and then you could hear the music or you could hear the carousel sound come in, which then takes away some of the mood because again I've said this before and I'll say it again. Your music is all about the mood while the visual is all about information. So when he lands on the carousel and then you hear the music while in mid fight, it like takes away the impact of the fight. So it kind of like brings in a little bit of a humor and while you're watching it, you may not register that, but your mind, your feelings do. You realize, a carousel in the middle of this fight. That's crazy. So it's kind of one of those things, All the effects were top notch, though. There were a lot of special effects, a lot of technology sounds in this movie. They did a really good job with all the technology sounds. He has an updated computer, this Edith, and all the sounds that come along with that were really well done. Just a top-notch job, really. They kept it tight. There was one musical moment that really emotionally pulled on me. Everybody, after Endgame, we're pretty emotioned out, right? Or we're being torn in every way. But there was one moment in this one that was, and I think if you're not a big MCU follower, you may not catch it. You're like, I see what they're doing. But somebody who's watched these since Iron Man 1, when they were doing that scene and they really set you up, and you in that scene, you're really Jon Favreau. You're playing, you are happy, happy. It really pulls at the heartstrings, and that was like, that is so cool. So it was a really good moment. All right, let's go ahead and go to story. And I honestly, guys, I feel like story is its weakest part, and it's a shame because I love Spider-Man, but I really feel like this movie was meant to be a transition movie so much that it really kind of fell flat. It didn't feel like a Spider-Man. That's the problem, is this movie did not feel like a Spider-Man. So, but overall, it's a transition from phase 3 to phase 4, and from pre-Iron Man in all of Iron Man and then into post Iron Man and how that world's going to look like. And it's a lot of a transition for Spider-Man himself. So we had him hike up and then we're going back. So it's a transition in that. Again, they address a lot of the plot holes from Endgame. One thing they do is they call the snap the blip. So that might be a new thing now. Maybe they always will call what I like to call the snapture. They call it the blip, which, okay, I don't really care for, but whatever. It's fine. The beginning of the movie is a little slow while they're waiting to get into the action. It feels like it takes a little bit. It's a little bit more of a school drama, almost an indie film, to be honest with you, where it's all about the nuances of two characters looking at each other and stuff like that. A little bit too much so. I mean, we're in an MCU movie again. I'm just here for explosions. It just was a little bit slower than I had expected. Some of the comedy moments didn't land. There was this bell gag that it was just kind of like, okay, that's kind of just silly, really. Just some of them didn't land. You really were kind of get going. They address a lot of the Spider-Man being in the same place as Peter Parker and like, okay, how do we avoid this? Because any intelligent person would be like, oh, hey, look, Spider-Man went on vacation to Venice, and all of a sudden, or Peter Parker did, and all of a sudden Spider-Man's there. So they address all that, which was really well done. All about the night monkeys, what they end up calling him. It was really good. The Edith, the new computer system he has called Edith was really, it was a nice touch. It was kind of a scaled back version of the old computer system he had, so he's not as dependent on it that was in his old suit. So that was really cool. And it was just kind of a nice little reference back to Peter Parker the whole time, or back to Iron Man. So that was really cool. The acronym was amazing, but I won't spoil that here because the acronym was a fun joke. That actually was a really well done joke. There is, of course, a big twist in this. Now, this is spoiler free, but I'm going to say something that if you are a comic book fan, you may feel the spoiler. So I'm going to count down from 5. This is not a spoiler if you don't avidly know the comics. Okay. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now, the comic book story that this is all pulled from, and you know what I'm talking about, it does generally follow those beats. Now, they do make a big, so that twist that you guys are all expecting to happen, it does happen. They kind of show you it will happen, but that big twist you're expecting to happen does happen. And the changes they made, I'm not a big fan of, but I understand what they're trying to do. This version of Spider-Man is not the Spider-Man we have where magic could just exist. So there's a few things that they have to sign things up, and I understand that. It's a shame because I really liked the original comic book storyline that this is pulling from, like the fine details of that one. But it's okay. This one's pretty cool. It's that big twist is still there, so I just want to say that much. Which I liked. That part of the story, the fact that twist is there, I needed. That was good. But if you were watching the pacing and you're seeing how things are going, you're like, okay, so that means that they're going to do the twist. It reveals it a little too much. I would have liked if they held the twist off until the last moment. They didn't. And but yeah, the way they filmed a lot of those fights was very well done. I was worried about that, but that was very well done. That's all in production. So yeah, I didn't want to talk about that until after I gave it that little 5-second thing. So yeah, it was very well done. We'll go a lot more into that when we come up on our full review, our spoiler full review. So anyways, let's go ahead and give our ratings for that. Again, the story I thought was a lot lackluster. I think the pacing was off, so they didn't quite get to they didn't deliver it the right way. It didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie. It was a good movie. It just didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie. So I'm gonna give this one a 22 out of 33, which is a bit of a ding, but I just feel like that's the way to go. So that brings our grand total to 84 out of 100. Good movie. Totally worth the watch. Total eye candy. Jake Gyllenhaal is amazing in this movie. He just always is, really. I still want him to be my Batman. And something more. Get him in the DC universe as well. The last thing I want to make sure to bring up, though, there are 2 end credits. And guys, if you're feeling less hyped while you're watching it, the 2 end credits, full hype. I'm telling you guys, they were insane. We, of course, going to do a spoiler full review later on. We're probably going to have a whole second segment that is just about these 2 end credits. They are crazy. Probably the first of the 2 end credits might be the best in all of MCU's end credits. I have to say that. And the second one, the implications of the second one set up phase 4. I mean, we're welcome to phase 4, folks. So it's so huge. Make sure you guys stick around for those. Those are huge. I hope you guys check out this movie. And again, 84, and hope you enjoy. All right, guys. So next up, we're talking about video game addiction, and so let's clarify some things, okay? I think we have varying degrees of video game addiction in this room right now.
No. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was trying to look up the definition of addiction to help clarify. Do you have that already?
I have
printed?
that, yeah,
Okay, good.
Okay, so we've always talked about how, oh yeah, I'm addicted to WoW, or I'm addicted to Minecraft, or I'm addicted to whatever.
Heroin.
Arc, heroin,
Rockstars.
Rockstars. And it's important to clarify the fact that, first off, we're not medical professionals.
True.
You can find help. There are clinics for video game addiction. We're not going to give you any of the phone numbers because a lot of them are for profit, so we're not going to necessarily aim you in that direction.
Yeah.
But you can find help if you do feel like you're addicted to video games. The reason this is coming up now is because the World Health Organization, they came out with a with video game addiction as an actual disease now, and I put down WOH as WHO.
World Organization of Health.
Yeah, that messed me up a second ago.
Same thing.
So they're calling it gaming disorder, which I think is a cooler name. And I'm going to go ahead and read down what is gaming disorder. This is from the World Health Organization. Gaming disorder is defined in the 11th revision of the International Classification of Diseases as a pattern of gaming behavior, digital gaming or video gaming, characterized by impaired control over gaming, increasing priority given to gaming over other activities to the extent of gaming taking precedence over interest and daily activities, acceleration of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. For gaming to be diagnosed, the behavior pattern must be sufficient in its severity to result in impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, and other important areas and functions, and must last for at least 12 months. So what they're saying is, for you to be considered as having gaming disorder, you must, for at least 12 months, have video games in higher regard than your day-to-day activities. So I know we've all joked around about this.
Calling in from work. Yeah. If you let it affect your job, your personal relationships, other commitments you have.
You got a birthday party to go to, and you're like, I don't really need to go to that. I got things to do.
I got more nieces, right?
Yeah.
No, it's all bad.
You literally don't. Well, no, but so this is what we want to talk about. Because it's becoming a disorder, a disease now. What does that mean? What are the pros and cons to video gaming? Because there are people coming down on both sides of this. John Hopkins has an article all about how no, this isn't that bad, and actually you guys are doing it wrong by saying it's a disease and stuff like that. So there are both sides of this.
I think it means there's a lot of Americans who are going to be at home with a disease, playing video games and getting paid.
So that when it first came out, that was the first, Squeaks and I were talking about that, and it was like, well, if it's a disease, can you be considered disabled by it? Yeah. And in that case, can you be paid disability?
I am down.
See, exactly. And that's a problem. Which I'm like, okay, yeah, if it is actually a disease, then why not? I mean, honestly, if it's an addiction, and we look at game design now, there are entire departments. There's actually a Black Mirror about this. Entire departments that are about making it an addiction. So. For an example, the game we'll probably use the most is World of Warcraft because it's a game that I would say that I am addicted to. And if you and me weren't playing this game right now, Daniel, and we were at a store or at a restaurant or whatever, I'm like, hey, Daniel, man, I'm getting the itch. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's the itch. And it's the itch to play WoW.
But, see, like, I don't know. People are just so dumb, though. Like, I play video games all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I'm not addicted.
I don't feel like I'm actually addicted either.
So let me ask you, can I log into either of you guys' accounts and delete your character?
No, that's just being rude.
Right? Yeah. That is addiction. If you can't walk away from it.
I can walk away from it, but I still want it to be... But it's still a monument to my efforts.
You can go to my house and throw away all the beer in there, and I'll be okay.
You're not addicted to beer. Days. Oh, I know what you're saying, but...
but
I do have a level of dependency on it. I'll give you that. Yeah. Like if you were to delete my characters in WoW, or, whatever, I would feel... It would be crushed.
You invested years and years of your time into that
because they're monuments that show my years of work.
Yeah.
And then so let's talk about all the pros of playing video games so much as we have. Okay. First of all, me and Daniel probably wouldn't know each other really that well.
Yeah.
Joe and I wouldn't know Joe at all without World of Warcraft. True. You know what I'm saying?
I would have never met Joe, Anthony, Squeaks,
the people on this podcast, basically, except for you.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Tabitha.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, Richard.
I actually go over there. I used to hang out when they were living in
6-7 hour drive to go
Yeah.
hang out with people that he met through World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
But no, because they're friends. And a lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh, you get on every day and you play World of Warcraft or you play Minecraft or whatever. Minecraft's the same problem. You know, when you get that itch for Minecraft, same problem. So you're playing it all day, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, no, it's not like that. Normally, first off, we only play part of the day. We only play it like at night usually, right? Because everybody's got work during the day. And so we play at night. And then for the most part, it's about bullshitting in Discord, right?
Honestly, yeah. A lot of times I'll just not do anything, just chilling, talking.
Now, how many times, those of you guys who play WoW know exactly what we're talking about. Have you ran around in circles on top of the Orgrimmar Bank?
All the time.
And
I used to.
there's
All the
no
time.
completion
Nothing
of
to do.
goals. Maybe you're doing quests or something like that, but
Nothing.
generally
Just
that.
talking.
Or running around in Dow, that big square in Dow, you know?
Yeah.
And the whole point is you're just talking to people.
So let me try to put this in. To me, the easiest.
This is why I wanted to
addiction-
make sure this one you're on, because you're going to be the opposite of us.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
the easiest. Well, I'm kind of supporting you guys in this part. The easiest addiction to relate to for most people is alcoholism, I think, because
Right.
everybody sees it. It's somewhat tolerated, even, so it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
But what you guys are saying is almost like I'm going to the bar not because I want to get drunk. I'll have a beer, but I mainly just want to be there and hang out with everybody. Like, cheers.
Yeah.
I just want to have that social environment, somewhere to be. I'm not going to drink very much. You know, I could sit there and
Sure.
just have a glass of water, but I want to be on. You know, from time to time, yeah, I'm going to tie one off and I'm going to be raiding, you know, until 2 a.m. or 6 a.m. or whatever time you
There
gotta do it.
there are times when you're more severe, even within the, we'll say addiction, even within the game,
Yeah.
there's varying degrees where, and I've been on both sides of this where, and you have too, where you're, okay, I'm a mythic raider. I spend all of my efforts into making sure I'm the best I could possibly be. I have to be like top 50 in the world. You're pushing yourself the hard as you can. Then there's times like right now where you're just on there to BS and to like, hey guys, I'm going to hop over to a different game, or I got work to do. I was typing up the report that I'm talking about right now. I was typing this stuff up while I was talking on Discord with Daniel and with Derek. And it's because I was doing work at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's just filling in the gaps where you're just talking with your friends every night. And for a lot of people, especially our age, I'm in my 30s. You guys are, God, are you guys
20?
Close.
both close to your 30s? It's hard to hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
No, you're not in school anymore where you used to be able to see them every day. So to see your regular friends, it's really hard to kind of talk with them anymore. And I think for a lot of adults that don't have video games, they don't have a way of building that social connection as much as they used to. There's Facebook, but that's fake. I mean, Facebook is like just like liking and that's it.
So for people who aren't gamers, could their version of video game addiction be social media addiction too?
That is what I want to get to. That's what John Hopkins is arguing.
Okay.
John Hopkins is arguing, no, it's not that. It's not that video game addiction is a thing. It's digital addiction. It's because we're lacking in our other the way we used to, where we used to live in big communities that were like interconnected. You had to go talk to your neighbor for things. That we're all addicted to our social media devices, to our digital connection, that we're on our screen all the time because that's our window to everything that's out there. And I think video game addiction is actually part of that because it's less about, I'm not sitting there and I'm not hopping. If it's a brand new game, say like Red Dead Redemption 3 came out, man, I'm good, man. I'm good for another 2 weeks, guys. Don't bug me. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's because the story's so enthralling. It's like binge watching Game of Thrones or something like that. It's because the story's got me. But then when the 2 weeks are done, it's not like I'm playing it over again. I'm done playing it. That is different than I think like what would be argued as a video game addiction. Like even the author of this piece, Chanapa, oh boy, they got a long name. Tanapakchachai. Oh God, I'm sorry if that sounds terrible, but you guys see that name.
Gotcha.
Mr. Arthur, yeah. They're writing an article about this Michelle Calder-Karras that works over there, and she's a World of Warcraft and a Dance Dance Revolution player, and she's talking about how in doing this, you guys are actually classifying digital addiction as video game addiction, and it's going to be ruining. It takes decades to get these things classified. So in doing that now, if somebody has a digital addiction to their phone, they may not be able to get much help in that field because, but that's not a video game addiction.
Made too narrow.
Yeah. And the pros to this thing being put in place, the reason the World Health Organization wanted to do this is because now people could actually use their insurance to get help at the clinics. You couldn't go to, before you went to a clinic, say, hey, I'm addicted to League of Legends or something like that, and I need help. And they'd be like, okay, well, it's going to cost you $12,000 to get kick this habit. Oh, okay, well, maybe my insurance will cover it. Your insurance didn't recognize it as a disease. It wasn't a problem. Now, that's why they made this a disease, is because now it's like, okay, look, you have an avenue now to use this as your insurance problem. You know what I'm saying? And they're saying the other reason they wanted to do it is because now they could actually get funding on the research. Because before it was like, it's not a thing.
But I think you're right. It should be broadened to include all media sources.
Yeah,
or-
digital
Well,
addiction.
Yeah, digital, because like television is an addiction also. Like,
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to go home and watch TV. Like a lot of people, they rather watch TV. I don't know. It's kind of dumb
It's a
because
slippery
like
slope.
I,
It
I
is.
play like on my 2 days off, right? I was on my PC practically whole days, right?
Yeah.
The whole day, But I choose to play video games so I save money. Like I can see if I'm playing video games, not talking, not being social with other people, then you start going kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's
you
like a
start
hermit
hearing-
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you start hearing like voices and stuff. Like there are actually people that
There
have
are
that
there
shit.
are people that have
Like
that.
if you're
Yeah.
not social with people, like
Yeah.
after a certain amount of time, then all of a sudden like you can start hearing voices and stuff like that. I just know some people.
That's bad.
Anyways, I'm being social. I'm being active with other people. Like not active physically, but
Interacting.
it's really dumb that they're classifying that as addiction. Because right now, if I had a girlfriend, I wouldn't be playing video games.
But based on what they said, you don't have an addiction. It has to affect your social life, your work life, have a negative impact on your life for a year before you can be considered an addict.
Oh, I think there's been bouts that have been over a year.
Think
There
so?
has been times where you've been playing WoW for over a year that's gotten you hooked.
Yeah, it got me hooked, but
But-
I could get off anytime I really wanted to. But I've been like
Yeah.
just trying to
Do
save
you
money.
guys think playing WoW stops other things you want to do in your life?
I think there are times when it has.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for that. So
Like
when-
a new expansion or raid? Or
new
something like
expansion,
that?
we all know. I mean, there are.
No.
I know of people who take the days off when a new expansion comes out,
Yeah,
but they
But it's just a couple
request times
days.
off. Right?
Yeah.
And that's their vacation time is that they're playing WoW because we live in America and there's very limited vacation times here.
Yeah.
And so that's what they use to spend it on. We go to Anaheim. We spend 6 hours in the drive down to a convention for this game.
Yeah.
Every year. So and there's expensive tickets. So there is that. But for the most part, it's not that. Those are just like the very high peaks.
Yeah. So,
So-
at the highest, you guys are addicts for a week or something like that, or a month. But
Yeah, but it's so to me, I feel like it's dangerous to call that an addiction. Like I know
Yeah.
we joke around
It's-
calling it an addiction a lot, but I don't think it's actually an addiction because if there was something coming up, I
Yeah.
would stop what I'm doing to go do that.
So that's what I'm saying is they say for 12 months or more, you have to be at your
that
peak
level. Yeah,
effect. Yeah.
I
So-
think the most addicted I've ever been to a game was Ark,
Yeah.
and
I
we lived
still-
together in that one.
Yeah. I still want to play that game someday. It's sad that you don't play it anymore, but it seems so cool. If a new version or something like that, a game that was based off of that comes out.
There is a new one that came out called Atlas. It's pirate version. Yeah.
That just
See,
seems so cool.
Like a lot of people like
Be a good board game.
work and like want to miss days or like there's a birthday party like you were
Yeah.
saying. But even if you weren't addicted to video games
Mm-hmm.
and you're already thinking, you're supposedly addicted to video games, like I don't want to go to the birthday party. If you weren't addicted to video games, you would probably still not want to go to that birthday party because you didn't want to.
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
that you're just trying to put the blame that I'm playing video games, that's why I'm addicted.
Yeah. It could
And
be still
It's
said the
just-
same thing that like,
it's a blame game.
oh, I'm right now in the middle of binging Chernobyl, so I really want to just go home and watch Chernobyl.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than be here at this party. Yeah, so it's not necessarily the video game aspect that's the addiction. It's the wanting to tailor your life to be enjoyable to what you want to do and not
Yeah.
caring about the other things.
And note that when you're playing video games, that's your social life, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you guys talk
You
about
build a community there. That's one
Yeah.
thing that is talked about a little bit, but yeah.
so like if Tabitha down in LA was having a birthday party, you'd probably much rather go down there than 20 minutes away to
Oh,
your
yeah,
cousin's
Yeah,
house.
actually,
Definitely.
that's a very good way to put
That's
it because
definitely
she
true.
is
One of your closest friends. That's your social group.
Yeah.
one thing that people don't understand about video games too is you're like, yeah, but you don't know this person. I've heard that. How many times have you heard that? Like, yeah, but you don't actually know them.
You know them more than your grandparents.
You know
sometimes.
them very well because not only is this a person you talk to a lot with, you oftentimes talk to them for hours every
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
If you're at this point where they're
You
considering
hear
an addiction.
about their work, about their exes, about
Yeah,
all the
you know
drama
about
in
their
their life.
struggles.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Derek having a baby this Monday, and that's exciting and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And and I only know he's from Kentucky. I'm from California, and
Mhm.
yet me and him, we've called each other brothers often. And it's when I had a surgery. Your job, Jonathan, was to text Derek so he knew that everything went
Mhm.
okay, and then Derek went through the tree and texted everybody that was in our guild and it was everybody wanted to know I was okay.
Yeah.
And that's life. That's real life. That's a friend who just doesn't live next to me.
Yeah.
And so it's hard, and he's actually going to be on the podcast more often. Me and him were just talking about that last night, but it's hard for people to understand that these are people that you know more about than I
Yeah.
know more about what's going on in Derek's everyday life than I knew about Miguel, my actual brother.
Yeah.
His everyday life.
Yeah.
And he posts a lot of stuff about his kids' sports, but I mean,
On Facebook.
yeah, exactly.
And I don't use Facebook.
That's
It's
in
his
social network.
Social network.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people don't understand these communities that we build. We check
Yeah.
in on each other. We know each other's well-beings.
Mm.
There are times where I've had a conversation with, I won't say names, but there was a guy who I knew who was starting to kind of become like I could tell he was getting too much into the game he was playing.
Mhm.
And so I pulled him aside into a different channel. We call him on Discord. And I was like, hey man, I think it's time for you to take a break. You're acting odd. It's actually kind of disrupting a couple other players. Again, I'm not using their names.
Yeah.
And I think what it is you're just playing too much right now. You need to just kind of take a break.
Yeah.
And he did, and he's back, and he's amazing. It's
Mm.
great to be talking to him again. I'm so excited he's back around. And you could tell he's like revitalized and stuff like that because it does wear on you a little bit. And it's because he was playing for the wrong reasons. He was trying to catch up with everybody else.
Mhm.
And so he was putting in extra time to do that. And it's like, no,
Not
you're putting
having-
in too much time.
Not having fun anymore.
You're not
just
having
pushing
fun
himself. Yeah.
Because there are times where a game like Ark or WoW or Minecraft, we joke around about it again, but we're like, oh, this is my job, not a video game. And at that point, you got to stop playing because
Yeah.
then you're pushing an addiction.
Yeah.
You're not in it for the social aspect. You're in it for other reasons.
So now that this can be considered an addiction, I have a great idea. I think we should get into the money making business. So I went to a retreat up in like near Oroville, a couple hours north, whatever. And it was out in the middle of nowhere. This place had no cell reception unless you climbed to the
Wow.
highest hill, right? And it was sad. It was devastating for me. I kept climbing at the top of this hill. But for everybody else, they were able to completely disconnect and just
Yeah.
talk to the people around them. There's like all kinds of sports activities and stuff, volleyball and golf and pool tables and all kinds of things to do there. And, you know, nice dinners and speakers and stuff like that. It was a really cool place to be. So I'm thinking that would be a really cool like place for, or, you know, a similar place like that for like a video game
clinics,
addiction
yeah.
retreat. Like, you know, get away from, if you need help, you have a problem, like, okay, speak to a counselor and they get you some help and then sign you up for a weekend or a week or something like that away where you have no access to computers or internet or cell phone. or anything.
There are clinics that are basically set up for that. That
Yeah.
are set up to where like, okay, you don't have any access to the outside internet and stuff like that. But I don't think that's what's going to help. I mean, I think it does. Obviously, I'm
Yeah.
not one to say clinics don't
Just
work.
to purge it, you know.
Right. I think you need to set up relationships that like make an agreement like, hey, like we do right now with this podcast. Hey, every week, let's get together at Frank's house or John's house or whoever. Let's record the podcast so we can socialize like this. Otherwise, we'd be just talking through Discord or Facebook if Facebook's your thing. So say you have a Facebook addiction. So we'll go with the digital addiction that like John Hopkins University was talking about. If you have a Facebook addiction, maybe you set up a time where like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go out to my friends and we're gonna make a barbecue. Or not even all that. I'm just gonna go to Jerry's house and we're gonna invite Tom, Jerry, and myself. We're gonna hang out and just bullshit for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to set aside time to do that.
Yeah.
But I also think that people, because that's one thing that John Hopkins was arguing, and CBS they didn't catch it, but basically a lot of the people that are doing this designation from the World Health Organization has never played a video game.
Oh.
Yeah. So a lot of the people doing this designation, I think the World Health Organization is doing it for a good reason because they want to make sure that people can get insurance and that there's funding into this research. So that's the reason they're doing this. That it is made a disease now. But other people are saying like, if you're gonna do that, you need to put the real research behind it.
Yeah.
Get video game players on the ground. You don't. It's like saying that, oh yeah, there's a big problem in Zanzibar, and you don't have anybody that lives in Zanzibar talking about it. You're just saying it from afar. And so that's one of those things where I think we need to have people who are in it researching it.
So I wonder what the big game developers like Blizzard would have to say about something.
They
like
are
this.
all insanely against it. CBS talks about that. They're all against it. They have an organization called the Entertainment Software Association. They say this is reckless, trivializes real mental health issues. So they're saying that, yeah, there are times where people are addicted to digital content.
Yeah.
We can do this. And you guys are saying it's a video game problem. You're shutting out people who are shopping too much, gambling too much. You're shutting out a problem where we need to figure this out. Now, on the other side of this, there are video games. World of Warcraft is one of the biggest offenders of this, where they are tailored to feel like a casino game. When you level in WoW, it makes that droom sound. I can't make and it is a light. The reason it does that is it's supposed to be triggering something in your mind, the dopamine levels in your mind, to feel good that you just did that. It's a level of accomplishment, and that's a trick that's messing with your brain to tell you like, oh, okay, good, I got that. And then you kind of start grinding into the next one. And everything's tailored that the way the music is played, it's not just because it sounds cool. It's because they have a pile of researchers that are saying this sound at this tone at that decibel makes it trigger something in their mind where they know that they accomplished something and it feels good.
Yeah.
And then you want that feeling again, so you continue to play. So there is a lot of addiction pushing. We know freemium games on the phone where they make it real easy to hit that $1.99 for 15 gems or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's super easy. And the way that color is, the where the placement is on the screen, all that is addiction stuff. All that is triggering what casinos use in their slot machines.
I want to point out, I think casinos have failed lately. I have no interest anymore in gambling because when I go in, no matter if I put in $1 and I lose, it makes noises like I won. If I put in $1 and I get 10 cents back, it sounds like I just got $1 million.
They might have gone too far with their
they're just trying
bells
to
and whistles.
constantly get you to dump cash, and it's like, okay, I'm not winning nothing, but you act like I am. So now all your noises are just white noise.
Have you gone into the one in Ione yet?
No, I drove by it the other day. Though. When we were fishing, I was like, maybe I should
I
go
love how
check
that
it.
sounds.
I've
Almost
never-
like it almost got me though.
I've never seen it.
I do want to go to Red Hawk. I haven't been to Red Hawk in a while.
Mm.
I used to go to Red Hawk quite often. I haven't been there in a bit.
All
But-
right. We'll take a break from the gaming addiction and try out gambling.
Yeah,
for a
let's try some
minute.
other addictions out.
Yeah,
I've been interested in this crack cocaine.
I hear it's
Let's
good.
give that a
I
shot.
hear it's good.
But yeah, there's a big push to keep this going. Video games made $44 billion last year. That's more than
Wow.
movies
Well-deserved.
or streaming.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
They
Well,
did a great
there's a
job.
huge market behind it. There's actually they're talking about unionizing all the video game industries,
Mm.
which probably is fair when you hear about the conditions. Sometimes it's really rough in there. And they're actually starting to dig because nowadays, like Netflix says, no, what is it? Yeah, Netflix says that their biggest competition isn't Hulu, isn't HBO. We talked about this before. It's Fortnite.
Really?
Netflix came out and said that's their biggest competition because it's not about, oh, we got to make sure to get their streaming attention.
Mhm.
We got to make sure that when they're watching TV, we have the most attention. That's not what it's about anymore. It's all about we have to get most of their time
Yeah.
because a person has X amount of free time after work, say 4 hours.
Mhm.
What are you going to do with that 4 hours? Are you going to watch a movie? Are you going to play a video game? Are you going to do both? Oftentimes I do both,
Yeah.
So it's all about, time spent. And Facebook and Snapchat are also arguing that video games are pulling from their market too much. They're pulling away from their Snapchat and the Facebook market. So that's out there too.
I think that would be a smart thing for YouTube to try to partner with some of the big video game developers and to make a window where as you're gaming, you can have YouTube streaming in the corner. I mean, Netflix would be
Yeah.
good for that too, but I think YouTube's probably more likely to reach into that.
Yeah, because that could be something with Stadia because they're both owned by Google.
Yeah.
So that could be something there.
Kind of smart.
So basically, just to wrap things up, guys, I just want to put this out there. The American Psychiatric Association estimates that between 0.3% and 1% of the world's population suffers from gaming disorder, or upwards of 75 million people. So whether or not you feel like this is malarkey or, it's one of those things that I think digital addiction is a thing,
Yeah.
but I do think that people need to understand that it's also community.
Mhm.
It's just a new version of community.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't think a lot of people understand when they don't know video games. This is a new community. But if you do feel like you have gaming addiction and you feel like it's ruining the rest of your life, that is a problem.
Mhm.
And you need to reach out to clinics and find help. But I do think it needs to go both ways. I think that they need to find a better way to research this. All right. Well, that's it for gaming addiction. And then we'll go on to our Disneyland review with Squeaks. That's the call-in episode. So
Nice.
off to that. All right, now we're with Squeaks, and we're going to be talking about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland. Squeaks, you went down there, and what'd you think of the place?
It's very beautiful, for sure. Right when you first walk in, one of the entrances that they make you walk in, there's about 3 different entrances, but they have a way they do it. So you go into one, and you're in Star Wars right away because you start seeing ships, start seeing TIE fighters and
That's so cool.
X-Wings. So the land is, right when the land itself is beautiful.
Right.
And just leading up to it is. They also have footprints on the ground of like different animals or species, whatever you want to call it.
Nice.
On the Star Wars world. So right off the gate when you're walking in, you're already just stunned of the work that they do.
Yeah. And how big would you say that section is?
It's not very big. If it was about not too many lines, and you didn't have to wait for a lot of things, it's about, you could probably walk through about an hour. It's really only a 1-ride park as of right now. I know they're opening an expansion here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I believe in August, but don't quote me. But then it's just a 2-ride park. Other than that, you got some stuff to look around, but you can maybe hang out in two different sections, and I'll dive into that a little bit more when we talk more depth inside of it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I had a four hour reservation, and I really only needed, I think I only used maybe 2.5 hours
Okay.
to three. You know,
Okay. So, and this is where is this positioned in the park? So everybody kind of gets an idea of its positioning. If you guys have been to Disneyland before.
so there's different entrances. There's three of them, I believe.
Okay.
You could go through in Frontierland, but the way they had us go through is more into Critter Country next to Splash Mountain.
I see. Yeah.
Um, and that way, I would say is the best way for the reason that you get to experience like the street with the footprints and then different ships just here and there as you're walking to actual Baku. I think they named that planet.
Okay.
Anyway, Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
So it looks like two different areas: Critters Country and Frontierland.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we're there. We're coming in from Critters Country. Go ahead and break down like what it is that you're seeing when you first start walking in. We have the ships that you're seeing. Start breaking down like as you're experiencing it in a row, kind of thing.
All right, let me try. Let me try to remember. So you're walking in. I already said the footprints. To your right, you'll see an X-wing that looks
Nice.
like it's
That's
kind
so
of sitting
cool.
there. But at the same time, you also hear like boost up and stuff. So it's sitting there, and you hear the noises like it's like running its engine or whatnot.
Right.
Um, to the left, they have some stands here and there of just merchandise and whatnot, like exclusive things that you could buy over there. Lights that are matching the land. Um, what I like that they didn't have too much music playing.
Oh, really? Okay. So it's a little bit more natural than.
Yeah, and it kind of like had that mysterious buildup, but then later on you kind of hear some sounds and whatnot when you get closer into it.
Right.
But then when you start turning the corner, you start seeing like the, I guess the rundown city, the architecture of all the buildings,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then when you walk in there, and I know I've sent you some pictures too of like the picture that I have with all the lights on the up in the air. You
Yeah. Yeah. We posted these to our Twitter and we'll be on our Facebook.
So when you're there, you're walking through. It's like a alleyway, and to the right and left of that are different shops where you can buy merchandise. Uh, I'm talking like merchandise to where you could buy the chessboard that Chewie and was playing.
Oh, you're killing me. Oh, I want that so bad.
I should have bought it, but I was like,
How much? How much was it?
I think it was, I think at least $70. I'm trying to remember everything.
That's really not too bad for Disneyland. That's like one sweater.
Yeah. um, and then they sell more chess piece monsters, additional separately.
Oh, they get you. They get you.
Anyway, you're doing that, and they have you go down the alleyway, and I got a couple things I wanted to buy, and it wasn't like crazy merchandise. They sell those droid sodas. Have you seen those, like the little ball and the cap on it?
I haven't seen those. No, yeah, I haven't seen those.
Okay, I'll send you a picture of them.
Okay.
But they're the droid sodas. They have a Sprite, Coke, and a Diet Coke. I should have bought all three, but I just bought two of them.
Yeah.
And then also there's a place to get chicken. So check this out. This chicken stop is like a couple of tables and it's a big round circle. But in the middle of it is an engine. Uh, I don't know where the engine comes from, but I believe it's from like a racer from
Okay.
episode 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
What it is that you see this robot just turning it constantly, and he's turning meat, and you can see the meat because it's like alien meat. You can tell like
That's
little the heads and the teeth on it, but he's rotating it the whole time.
cool.
But that engine turns on while you're just kind of chilling and sitting there, and it's supposed to look like obviously the heat from the engine is cooking the meat.
Is there any heat coming from it, or is it all just special effects?
No, it's all just special. You got like
Okay.
steam and then
That's
just
cool.
sounds and lighting. Um, so let's see. So you get past that. Now you're kind of in this area where you start seeing the lightsaber building, the droid building, and another restaurant that serves just more overall food and desserts.
Okay. Okay. Now the lightsaber building is is it just a shop full of lightsabers, or what is it?
So check this out. So I'm a little frustrated. And I'll get to more about my frustrations with the park in a little bit.
Okay.
So that requires a reservation, and I don't know why I didn't know if it was just too busy. It's a $200 lightsaber build.
What?
So, but it makes sense now why you need a reservation because I was doing some research afterwards. So you go up to the stand, which I had a hard time finding.
Okay.
but they kind of keep it a secret, and we'll get to that in a minute. So you go to the stand, and you kind of see the parts you can pick. You're like, all right, cool, whatever. And of course, the cast is in character, so they're like, oh, I got this for this many credits, whatever they're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. So you get up there, you see, and I saw this paper and it had all the parts on it. I was like, oh, this must be it. So, but they told me obviously I need a reservation. So turns out you go and they come back 30 minutes later and they take you into this building, and it's like a whole freaking show that they do for you in these little stations that you kind of just sit there. It's like a little tabletop for yourself individually,
Yeah.
and they give you the parts that you picked after they explain like a little, kind of like a little show for you.
Right.
Explain like the colors and whatnot in a cool Star Wars way, and then that's where you put it together.
That's so cool.
So I'm like, it's more of an experience, and I see why there's a reservation because there's so many little like workshops that you can sit there and do it.
Hmm.
So I think next time that's what I'm going to do for sure. Now that I know how to go about it.
So
The droid bill. Oh, go ahead.
So okay, so I just want to clarify. You pay $200 for the reservation, or is it like normally just gonna be $200 to get your lightsaber kind of thing?
So what they do now, after looking it up, is you have to do your reservation before you go into the park,
Right.
and you pay the $200 up front because you're not. They don't want people just to go there and participate in the show, like the little, and experience the inside and the building of a lightsaber, and then be like, "No, I don't want it now."
I see. I see. That makes sense. So it kind of reminds me, the way you're describing it is like, have you done the wand selection in Universal Studios, the Harry Potter area?
Yes, yes, it pretty much is like that, just on a little bit bigger scale.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. Because I was like, oh man, this wand thing is amazing, and then you get to the shop, you're like, oh, the wands are not cheap. Okay, but you're buying it up front, so it's a little bit better. That's
Yeah,
cool.
this one they're just like, no, you got to pay up front because you're gonna build it. The wand thing is just kind of you could go in there and experience it real quick, but you don't really have to buy anything.
Right. Okay.
You know. The droid building is really neat. That one doesn't require a reservation or anything. You just get in line and you go to a workstation. You literally have your own workstation. I don't know how many stations they have, but droid parts are coming on a conveyor belt, and you're just picking whatever you want and any color you want, and then that's your droid, and it's all remote control and it's
What?
up and everything. Yeah,
So
I had. Go.
do you get to keep the droid?
Oh yeah, you buy like a little. It's like $100 droid. It starts off as $100, and right when you walk in, it says like the starting price is 100. And then you go through and you just pick up parts. You can do like a. I've seen so many different colors like R2D2s and BB-8.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Pretty neat. Yeah, that whole workshop is neat because on the top of it, you're just seeing like how do you say? Like the doors in Monsters Inc. and they grab the door and you just see them going in the factory and there's just so many doors
Yeah.
going through a belt. So that's pretty much what it was, is just a bunch of droid parts on the ceiling just going around in circles to make it feel like you're actually in like this factory.
I love Disneyland when they do that. When it feels, you just feel like you're immersed in it. Like, I love how they do that. So that's exciting. I can't wait. That's cool.
Yeah, they did Star Wars a wonderful job in making you feel like, holy crap, like everything, this is real.
That's amazing.
To the point where when you're walking around like different restaurants and different words, if you get the Disney app, you can play games in the universe or world or whatever you want to call it, the land.
Yeah.
And also you could decrypt a bunch of lettering they put there. So if a restaurant says, I don't know, if a restaurant has like this coding, you type it in those letters and it says, okay, service. Like,
Oh, that's neat. That's neat. So yeah, it's like you're a translator.
yeah, that's right. It's a translator.
That's so neat.
Looking for the right word.
Okay, here's the tricky thing though. If you said credits before, I'm wondering, do they say, like, if you're talking to a vendor? Because if people don't understand, the people that are the actors, they actually audition for these roles to work at Disneyland, and they take their jobs very seriously. They're very much in their character. And in Star Wars Land, from what we've seen, they're actually like taking it to the next level. So my question for you is, say you're to say, hey, I want to buy a hamburger. How much does it cost? Would they tell you $5, or would they tell you like 550 credits? What would they tell you?
No, they tell you credits. So
That's so cool. Okay, cool.
another thing I bought. So check this out. Another thing I bought that I wanted was the milk, and I don't know if you've heard about
The blue milk, yeah.
green milk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thing was I wanted the big milk jug. I don't know if you've seen those. It was
Oh, I
like
haven't.
it shows like, yeah, it's a little picture of like creatures on each side and it lights up. But I wanted this milk jug, so I stood in line, and even that is amazing because it's just bottles of like glass jars hanging around everywhere. of like blue and green, and you hear like the sound effects of the little area making, I don't know, whatever, the milk and bubble soundings. So when you get up to the counter, they I think my thing was 24.99, but they're like, okay, that'd be um 24.99 credits. Everything is only city.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's easy. Okay. I wasn't sure if there was like some sort of conversion rate you have to like keep doing in your head.
No,
That's cool though.
they just say it like that. And then behind it, they have like doors that lift up for them to fill up your cup or whatnot. It was pretty neat.
That
But
is so
even
neat.
to the point where the debit machines were decorated as like a Star Wars thing.
Oh, man, that takes a lot of work.
Oh yeah, they put like this cover on the debit card reader to make it look more, I don't know, high tech or something, whatever it is.
So the milk then, is that actually milk that you're drinking, or is it some sort of like soda?
It's like a foam slushy
Okay.
in a way. Yeah, it's not like a liquid. It's not a super liquidy unless it melts. It's kind of like, yeah, like a foamish slushy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. So we have the Droid Factory. What else is after the Droid Factory?
Um, Next to the Droid Factory, I think those are my big things about the shops. You see some like vehicles
Mhm.
next to the Droid Factory. You'll see where Obi-Wan and Luke are flying in their little
The speeder.
car thing with the, and they tell them like these aren't the droids you're looking for, or these aren't
Yeah.
the, you know.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so you'll see that lined up. You'll see some racers from Episode One, stuff like that.
How is the speeder? Is the speeder like? Do they have it mounted to where it looks like it's floating?
No, it's what it is. It's lined up with different vehicles, and it looks almost everything about this land looks almost like a scrapyard.
Oh, nice. Okay, I see what you're saying. Cool.
The whole thing, it looks grimy, it looks dirty. Then you get on another side of it, and you're like, "Holy shit! This is where the Empire is, or First Order." I think they have it decorated as the new ones.
Okay.
So you'll see a huge ass ship of Kylo Ren ship.
Nice.
Store next to it, the store next to it, that's all like the First Order merchandise, Empire stuff, all the kind of the dark sides things, and you could buy only that stuff in that section.
Hmm.
So they do a good job on separating where you buy stuff here and there.
And the feel of the park actually changes when you get transitioned into that new zone.
Yes, but it's small though. So I'll explain the expansion because I was doing some research on it. But
Okay.
that corner is small. It's a small corner for
Mhm.
the Empire stuff. It's almost like, hey, I just landed, so we're here now, and they have like their banners here and there.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, first invasion kind of thing.
Yes, yes.
It's cool.
On that way, you get close to the cantina. Unfortunately, I didn't get to experience the cantina. That's a reservation thing as well as right now.
Okay.
What you want to do if anybody's listening and you first go there, you want to make sure the first thing you do is get in line for the cantina. We were trying to do that, but it turns out we were walking by a bunch of people that were in line. This line was freaking wrapped around almost the whole park just to
Wow.
get to experience the cantina. And they were doing 45-minute I guess a time frame for everybody to be in there. So
Yeah,
as soon
yeah.
as you sit down and order, you got 45 minutes, then you got to get out.
That's crazy.
So we were trying to stay late enough to hopefully. I just wanted to walk in there, and someone said come back at like 11:45 to experience it.
Yeah.
I wish we would have stayed. That's a regret I have, but I really didn't need that time to be sitting there the whole time. So I was like, I'll just YouTube it because I was checking everything else out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure the place has got to be nuts that weekend you went.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So what I think they did a good job is that there's music playing in the cantina. There's a DJ robot in there,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it's blasting music. It's not very loud to me when I walk by and the doors were open. But they do a good job to where I think they have speakers on the outside of that area, making it sound like it's just bass and blasting music, like everybody's having a good time.
Okay. Yeah. And then it makes it sound like. So that's one thing that's interesting is like if you go through like like Fantasyland or whatever, you'll hear like Snow White or whatever playing on speakers that are just in the bushes. So you're constantly hearing music. But you're saying that when you're in Star Wars land, it's not that the music's just you're not hearing Star Wars music everywhere. You're actually hearing like music that a cantina would play. It sounds like it's inside that cantina, so it's real natural sounding.
Yeah, it's just like that bass you hear from walking by a club.
That is cool. Oh, smart. Okay, man, these guys are on top of their game.
Right next to the cantina, though, you finally get to the ride itself.
Okay.
Any picture you see of the Millennium Falcon does not do justice because when you walk up to it, you're like, "Holy crap, this thing is huge!"
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and plus the scenery behind it because they have those mountains and like rocks behind it and whatnot.
Yeah.
just to go with the flow or background of it. Oh my gosh, it is huge, and it's just everybody. It's like a photo picture of it. Everybody standing in front of it,
Yeah.
and they like lined up to take a picture with you. Um, so that ride, I'll just get into the ride now.
Yeah.
That ride, the waiting is really neat because you're basically in this like garage type ordeal. Everything still has the theme of like a scrapyard,
Okay.
and really, I don't know. I guess like a pick and pull almost. It feels like the whole thing, the whole land.
Yeah.
Um, so you'll get up to the ride, and it's talking about there's this new character. I don't know the names of all the characters, and you're sitting there and you're kind of like doing a little show of just like a welcome show, whatnot. I don't know exactly what he says.
Yeah.
You'll see the Millennium Falcon land, and your job is basically you're going to fly the Millennium Falcon and steal some kind of like a material that's used for money or whatnot. I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in the cockpit. 6 people sit in the cockpit, and they all have a role to play. So you got 2 pilots, 2 gunners, 2 engineers.
Yeah.
And I happen to be a gunner. So when you sit there, you're sitting like in an actual chair, like it feels like in the cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interactive at the same time. So it tells you what you're supposed to do. You'll get this ticket. You read the instructions on the ticket. They tell you if you want to switch with your, anybody in your squad or whatever. You could talk amongst yourself, do whatever. But while you do that, wait here. So when you're waiting, you're actually waiting in like the little area where Chewie Chase plays chess and like the
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, like the lobby or whatever, or yeah, living room, I guess. Yeah.
you're chilling there, waiting for them to call your team. So I'm like, okay, we were a blue team, whatever.
Right.
So okay, so who's your pilots? Who's your gunners? Who's your engineers? And they wait in line like, all right, here you go. Go to your cockpit. Go to the cockpit, and each one has a role. So obviously mine was gunners. Every time when you sit down the screen, you see this window, obviously a window looking out of the Millennium Falcon, and oh
Mhm.
my god, the technology on the smoothness and how it looks, the HD quality or whatever, you're like, holy crap, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It's Star Tours on crack, basically.
Oh, and Star Tours is already amazing. I love Star Tours.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, um, my job, going back to my job now, is every time I see looks like TIE fighters,
Mm-hmm.
to keep tapping this button, and what you see is your side of the lasers, because there's two gunners. I have like mine was like red lights, and the other one was blue lights, or whatever the hell it was,
Right.
shooting down TIE fighters. So there's the one button to shoot down like your normal lasers, and then you got another one to shoot down missiles when it's forcing you to tell you, hey, you need to press this button. And how well everyone does when it comes to flying, shooting, and the engineers is score at the end of it. So real quick, pilots, one of them goes side to side, one of them's up and down. Gunners,
That's
the
good.
shooting, and then the missiles. Engineers, I think there's some repairs they have to do. They're behind me, so I couldn't really see what they were doing and whatnot. But they have to also latch on to these cargoes that have that material that we're trying to extract.
Yeah.
Um, so it's about, I don't know how I want to say, like a 2 minute ride or maybe more. I was just so into it. I had a blast with it. It's not the best ride in the park, guarantee for thrill wise, but it's very fun because of the interactive feature in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, at the end of it, my little screen next to me, because everyone has like a little screen next to them about like the guy comes on and talks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you how well you did. So it's like, hey, your accuracy was 40 something percent. You shot this many TIE fighters down. I think mine was like 14. And then your score. So, and then obviously damages. So if your pilots suck, you took a lot of damage by just hitting things.
Yeah.
Your score goes down, and it's like, okay, well, we had to take this much out because for repairs of the Millennium Falcon. What's funny is that if you do bad, because we did bad, we on pilot wise we did bad.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk out of your cockpit, everything around you sounds banged up. Also, the hallway looks banged up.
The hallway you walked down looks banged
Yeah,
up.
it's like colors. It's like colors that make it look like it's all jacked up. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, it was neat. And then the girl, like, I guess to open the door, that we had a girl, and she opens it, and she's like, "Wow, you guys were horrible," or said something like, "Why not?"
Still in character though, right? So it's kind of like
Still in character, yeah,
Yeah.
still in character. Um, so the ride's fun. It's not the best for sure, but it's a blast. Um, and I think that's pretty much it with the park, to be honest.
Okay.
Um, the expansion of the park that I heard August, but don't quote me, is going to be you're walking into like a war zone, so you're supposed to see um from pictures what I've seen like AT-ATs and like
Oh man, sold.
rebels and Empire whatever going at it with each other, and it's supposed to be Escape the Empire or something like that ride. It looks like a virtual ride though.
Okay, yeah. Which I've heard in the past that Disneyland or Disney's going to try to embrace more of the virtual rides because their footprint's a lot smaller, and with the technology nowadays, they could still make it as thrilling. Like Soaring California is one of like it's a great ride, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And that's supposed to be the change of scenery. Now I know you're talking about, hey, it looks like I was saying the first order came and just landed, and that's what it looks like.
hmm.
This one is actually going to be a whole different scenery
That's sauce.
with that ride. Dang, what else? Yeah, I guess that's about it, really.
I mean, that's good. We got a good visual. I mean, we kind of we understand what the progression is as you're walking through the park. Sounds like you're on this outer rim planet, and then eventually you start to see that the First Order is here to fight. And man, that got me pumped. I think I'm gonna have to at least make a droid come up in November. So that droid sounds awesome. Well, that does it for us this week, guys. We appreciate you guys joining us. Please hit us up on Twitter and all of our other social medias. Twitter seems to be our most active. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Freaks Pod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All those links are in the description. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.